Whenever you're feeling that stress about money, what's the first thing everyone tells you? Oh, just spend less. You got to save more. Cut back on this and that, right? It's always the same story. But what if that's not the whole picture? In this explainer, we're going to dig into a totally different and honestly a much more powerful idea.
This one idea just flips the entire script. Think about it. It takes us from constantly playing defense with our money, always trying to just protect what we have, to playing offense. We're not just trying not to lose anymore, we're actively trying to win. So where do we even start with that?
All right, let's talk about the real financial solution. We're going to shift our whole mindset here, away from that defensive save every penny mode and into a really proactive, powerful earning strategy. Look, managing your spending is super important, don't get me wrong, but it's only half of the equation, right?
At the end of the day, that feeling of real financial well-being, the kind that actually lets you sleep at night and opens up doors you thought were locked, that comes from growing your income. It's the engine that drives everything else. But that's the big question, isn't it? How do we actually do that?
So if we want to earn more, the first thing we need is a map, a way to see the whole landscape. We've got to understand the different ways money is actually made out there in the world. And it turns out it's not that complicated. There are really only 4 main paths.
And that map, it's called the Cash Flow Quadrant. It was made popular by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's brilliant because it takes this huge, complex world of earning money and just simplifies it down to 4 basic categories. So think of this as our guide, our GPS for the financial world. Okay, first up, we have the E for employee. This is where most of us start out and maybe where you are right now. It's pretty straightforward. You trade your time, your skills, for a salary. The big pro here is stability. You get that predictable paycheck. But the downside? Well, your growth is usually limited and you don't have a ton of control. Your financial fate is kind of tied to the company you work for. All right, next is the S quadrant for self-employed. This is your freelancer, your small business owner, your consultant. You get to be your own boss, which is awesome. Total freedom. But, and this is a big but, if you don't work, you don't get paid. Simple as that. Your income is still one-to-one with the hours you put in.
Now let's hop over to the other side, the B quadrant, business owner. And this is a key difference. This is not the same as being self-employed. A business owner builds a system, a team that works for them. The cool part? The income can scale up and eventually become passive. The catch? It's way riskier and takes some serious capital and leadership skills.
And last but not least, the I quadrant, the investor. This is where the magic really happens. Here, your money starts working for you. This is the road to true passive income and real financial freedom. Your assets, like stocks or real estate, are making money for you even while you're sleeping. Now, the challenge here is pretty big. You need capital to start, you need a lot of knowledge, and you definitely need patience.
So if you step back and look at the whole quadrant, you see this really clear divide. On the left side with the employee and self-employed, you've got active income. You're working for your money. On the right side with the business owner and investor, you have passive income. Your assets are working for you. And really, the whole game of building wealth is about making that journey from the left side of the quadrant over to the right.
Okay, so now we've got the map, right? The cash flow quadrant shows us where we are and where we could go. But a map isn't enough. We need an engine. We need a vehicle to actually move us around that map. So let's talk about a super practical framework for growing your income, no matter which of those 4 boxes you're in right now. It all boils down to 4 key drivers. Think of the acronym SNLG. That's skills, network, leverage, and geography. Let's dive into what each of those really means. First, S is for skills. This is the bedrock. It's your foundation. The better you are at something valuable, whether it's a technical skill like coding or a soft skill like communication, the more people will pay you for it. It's that simple. And in today's world, constantly learning new skills isn't just a nice to have, it's absolutely essential if you want to grow.
Next up, N for network. You've heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And there's a lot of truth to that. Your amazing skills can only get you so far if nobody knows you have them. When you build a real, genuine network of people, colleagues, mentors, clients, it's like you suddenly have keys to doors you didn't even know existed.
Okay, now for L, leverage. This one is huge. To get it, just picture this. You need to get water from a deep well. You could use a little mug, right? That's pure effort, 1 scoop at a time. Or you could use a rope and a bucket. A little better. A pulley system? Now we're talking, much easier. But what if you installed an electric motor and a pump? That is leverage. It's all about using tools, systems, technology, money to get a massive result from a tiny amount of your own personal effort.
And finally, G for geography. This one is so simple, but so many people forget about it. Think about it. The exact same job, with your exact same skills, can pay wildly different salaries just based on what city or country you're in. Sometimes, one of the quickest hacks to boost your income is just a change of scenery.
Okay, let's pull this all together. We've got our map, the cash flow quadrant. We've got our engine to move around it, the SNLG framework. But with all these different paths and options, how in the world do you figure out which one is right for you? What we need now is a compass.
And this is where a lot of us get stuck, right? It's that analysis paralysis. Should I stay an employee, start a business, become an investor? Should I learn a new skill or go networking? It can feel like way too much, but don't worry. There's a really simple but really powerful idea that can cut through all that noise.
This right here, this is your compass. It's about finding your unfair advantage. And what is that? It's the thing that feels like play to you, but looks like hard work to everyone else. Stop chasing what you think you should be doing. Instead, find that thing you do so naturally, so effortlessly. That is your personal goldmine.
Now, to make this super practical and not just some nice-sounding idea, we can use a tool called the ICER framework. It's basically a way to take all those potential income-generating ideas floating around in your head and score them so you can find the one that lines up perfectly with that unfair advantage we just talked about.
It's really simple. You take an idea and you score it from 1 to 5 on 4 things. I is for your interest in it. C is for your current capability. E is for how effortless it feels for you. Remember what feels like play? And R is for the potential financial return. You just add up the scores, and whichever idea has the highest total, well, that's probably your best bet.
All right, before we finish up, let's quickly go over some common traps. Because honestly, knowing what not to do is sometimes just as important as knowing what you should be doing. Let's look at the mindsets that hold people back versus the ones that push them forward.
So here are 5 big mistakes to avoid. Number 1, the one we started with, focusing only on cutting costs. Total defense, no offense. Another big one is just settling for good enough with your income. Or believing myths, like thinking you have to own a business to get rich. And of course, chasing those shiny shortcuts that never work. And maybe the most important, don't get so focused on making money that you forget to actually live.
So there you have it. You are officially equipped. You've got the map to see all the different paths, you have the engine to start moving forward, and you have the compass to point you in your own unique direction. The only thing left to do now is take the first step. So, my question for you is, what's the one small thing you're going to do today to start this journey?